Now, welcome back. World AIDS Day is being marked at the Petrus Molemela Stadium in Bloemfontein. It's being held under the theme Equalize and Integrate to End AIDS. Chair of the National AIDS Council, Deputy President David Mabuza, was expected to give the keynote address, but he has since pulled out and will be replaced by Health Minister Dr. Joe Phaahla. Let's go to our reporter Moloko Moloto, who joins us now live for more details. Moloko, of course, during the 2 years of COVID-19, a lot of resources were redirected to that particular fight, and now we're seeing statistics when it comes to HIV and AIDS growing among the youth. What's the health department saying about this?
Well, indeed, HIV and AIDS remains a serious dilemma confronting our country. I mean, worldwide, there are about 38 million people who are HIV positive, and South Africa is leading in terms of the number of people who are living with the virus. In terms of the estimates, there's about 7.8 million South Africans who are living with HIV, and just over 5 million of those are on antiretroviral treatment, meaning about 2 million of those are not on any kind of a treatment. And we've been hearing speakers here at this event indicating that people who take regular treatment to a point that they surprise the viral load, those people will not infect others. So taking medication religiously is another way to effectively stop the spread of HIV. We have heard from the president of COSATU, Zingiswa Losi, speaking earlier, saying that the high number of people who are living with HIV in this country happen to be the working class, and obviously calling on government to collaborate with the unions. But also the ambassador of the United States to South Africa taking to the podium, saying that since 2003, the government of the United States, through that PEPFAR program, one that is sponsored from the office of the president in the United States, has partnered with the South African government to a point where the United States spent up to $9.8 billion since this program was introduced. And of course, the issues of stigma, the issues of access to treatment in their facilities. Let me speak to Upuleng Mokwe. She is from the Free State Department of Health. Ma'am, thank you so much. You are holding this particular event under the theme Equalize and Integrate to End AIDS. Practically, how are you doing that?
Thank you. Thank you so much. We are now hosting this, saying our theme is Equalize and Integrate to End AIDS. How are we doing it? We are doing it through equalization. We are saying our health services are accessible to all, irrespective of gender or sexual orientation, meaning that we are saying, irrespective whether you are an LGBTQI community member or you are a sex worker, you are welcome to our facilities. And on the issues of integration, we are saying we are integrating our services. We are not only focusing on HIV when you enter, we are integrating because the very same person who is having HIV is the person who is also can be having a high blood pressure, who can also be having TB. So we are integrating. And on the issue of stigma, we are saying, come as we are saying, the reason we're saying that we are now equalizing, we are dealing with the issue of stigma.
Yeah. And talking of stigma, Puleng, we spoke earlier to a man from a treatment action campaign, Anele, who said, look, people, some of them are defaulting, people who were on treatment primarily because of the attitude of healthcare workers. Sometimes they, in some instances, you move from one district to another district and they tell you that you cannot get your treatment, go back to where you are registered. How are you resolving those things? Because you as the healthcare sector ought to be leading in this fight against HIV.
In resolving that, we do give our staff in-service training. We do make sure that all problems are being resolved. So when there is a problem, we do encourage our clients to make there's what we call a complaints number that from yesterday we have been publicizing it, that when you have an issue or a problem, just call that number and I will...
Calling a hotline number to complain is one thing, but for the healthcare workers to respond positively and understand the importance of helping people who are vulnerable is another. It is in that regard that I'm saying, how are we going to change the attitude of the healthcare workers?
We are doing that through in-service training. Like I'm saying, we are busy training our nurses, our staff on attitude, so that they don't discriminalize people when they enter our services. So we are addressing it through debriefing and in-service training.
Yeah. Outside of this stadium, I saw there are various trucks. There's just one that I've seen from the Vets RHI, where they are saying they're giving people pre-exposure prophylaxis, so what is known as the PrEP, and also the PEP, post-exposure prophylaxis for people with regard to the PrEP, those who are HIV negative. They can get that pill and that will help them to prevent infections. And since this morning, about an hour ago, I was told that only one person turned up there to collect the PrEP. That basically tells you that people don't know about the accessibility of this. In your clinics, can people walk in to get PrEP so that they can avoid the infection of HIV? Do people know?
Yes, we do acknowledge that. Remember, PrEP is the new thing, so people are now starting to know it now. So hence we are vigorously promoting it into our continuous outreach campaigns. We have what you call taking primary health care to the community. We do talk about it. We have intersectoral collaboration with the faith-based churches. We do go to churches and talk about it. So as we talk about it, people now realize that there is this PrEP service that is available, and we do tell them that they can access it. Is easily accessible. So yeah, we are...
Let's conclude with this one. We know in South Africa 7.8 million people are living with HIV. Young people in the main, particularly girls, are vulnerable. What is the prevalence? What is the situation in the Free State, particularly with young women in the main? And what are the factors in the main that lead to this young women contracting HIV? Do you have any idea?
Remember, yes, you are right. We are being faced with increased teenage pregnancy at the moment. Why? As we go to schools, because we are busy with dialogues, we are doing vigorous dialogues in schools, we are doing vigorous and outreach campaigns. We're even having an event on the 3rd where we will be now, there's a youth camp of the eNCA that we will be giving education to. So we are now vigorously doing dialogues with the youth, because now we need to educate them. We realize it's peer pressure. We realize as they give us feedback, we're working together with social workers. We realize their feedback that they get into these unhealthy behaviors because of peer pressure. Some don't afford at home, so they end up engaging in unprotected sex because they want materialistic things. So we're also dealing in their issues of self-esteem, because you realize that a child now who doesn't self-esteem, it's easy for this child to be now a victim of peer pressure. So we are working very vigorously with that, and also with Department of Education, we have a good relationship with them also. So we're also teaching them now, promoting long-acting methods, saying those who are sexually active, we are now promoting what we call implant, because at least it's for 3 years, and also an IUD for them. So we do market other services.
Uleng, thank you so much for your time indeed. Masero, the Deputy President David Mabuza, who we know is a chairperson of the South African National AIDS Council, was scheduled to deliver a keynote address in this commemorative event today, but we received a statement from the presidency saying that he is going to be engaged in other issues in Parliament, issues relating to his role as leader of government business. But of course, any moment from now, we're expecting that the Minister of Health, Dr. Joe Phatla, will be taken to the podium. We know that government has set aside for this year alone, this financial year, 2022-2023, they have set aside 23 billion rand to assist in the fight against HIV and AIDS. But importantly, the speakers have been saying that the fight against HIV in this country cannot be led or by government alone. Civil society, South Africans in general, must lend a hand in stopping this in ways such as, for instance, doing away with the stigma, but also taking responsibility for our lives as South Africans.